Hey, what's up guys, your Player 2 here. Last Friday what we talked about was the Retron 5 and why I felt that it was a really good purchase if you run a gaming channel, particularly a retro gaming channel, mainly because it just provided so much flexibility and the ability to hook up to your modern TV. But this week what I wanted to talk about was what I feel is the portable equivalent of the Retron 5, and that would be this guy right here, the PSP Go. And that's the thing, the PSP Go is getting a little bit long in the tooth now, for sure, but nonetheless, I still think it's a fantastic purchase even today, and particularly if you run a YouTube channel focused on gaming, and right now I'm going to tell you why that is. For starters, they're fairly cheap to acquire. Now, they're not as cheap as a regular PSP. Regular PSPs, you can get those things for like anywhere from 30 to 50 bucks. I actually have one with a busted screen that I got for $5, but the PSP Go can still be found at a fairly reasonable anywhere from $80 to $100, $120. So it's not the cheapest system in the world, but it's certainly not going to break the bank, and the thing about that is I think that it's worth that much because it has an outstanding value proposition, and that value proposition is essentially, it's super easy to hack. Now, when I say hack, essentially what I mean is you can basically copy a few files to it, hit a few buttons, and in no time at all basically be ready to go with homebrew applications. Now, if you're not familiar with the term homebrew, essentially what that means is the ability to run unsigned code, or code that Sony did not intend for you to run on the PSP Go, and that opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. Two in particular that I find this to be really useful for. One is emulators, so you can run things like Super Nintendo games, Game Boy Advance games, Genesis. I think there's even an N64 emulator for the PSP Go. But then on top of that, just from a collection standpoint, it does help you sort of save some wear and tear on your PSP games also, right? If you have a lot of physical UMDs for the original PSP, this will let you basically load this thing up with ISOs of your physical games and not have to worry about putting wear and tear on your physical media. But then also it has a little bit of a performance advantage. You don't have like a noisy spinning UMD drive like the original PSP, for example. And things do seem to load a little bit faster when they're not sort of, in a very cumbersome way trying to read from optical media. So I think that that's a pretty good value. If you run a retro channel and you want to basically explore old games or be like, hey, is that something that's worth buying and picking up? Emulation's a great way to get a good look at that. It's not going to satisfy the purists out there, but ultimately if you're looking to have like hundreds or thousands of Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance games on the go to explore and kind of strategize and figure out what content you want to put on your channel, the PSP Go is a fantastic way to do that, particularly if you're like me where you don't have necessarily a lot of time because of your day job, family commitments, hobbies, or anything like that. This sort of lets you, kind of have those experiences on the go so you can explore them more easily and do things like research. And beyond the ability to sort of research a bunch of, like retro titles or the PSP's native games themselves, you can also check out homebrew applications, or games that were written specifically for that, basically by the homebrew community. I do not personally know any off the top of my head because I do not spend a lot of time in that niche, but if that was something that you wanted to explore, it's sort of a unique value proposition for your viewers, right? Because you can offer an experience that not everybody can, so I think it's definitely worth checking it out for that reason as well. And finally, speaking beyond research or the ability to basically find custom applications that were written for this platform, you can actually capture video from it fairly easily. Well, I say fairly easily, but you will need a little bit of hardware to get that going. Like, there is a specific cable that you need to basically get video out of the PSP Go. But then if you have, basically a capture card that can accept that component cable interface, it becomes fairly easy to capture video from it. And it's not going to be in HD and it's not going to be the best quality or anything. But if you need to capture like cutaway footage to support a narrative you're doing, for a review, or if you were doing a history of a series like Kingdom Hearts, for example, which had entries on the PSP, it might be something that's worth investigating just because, it's certainly easier to get video off of a PSP than it is to get off of something like the 3DS. So those are just a few reasons that I thought the PSP Go is definitely worth a purchase even today, and even if you don't want it just for the sheer convenience of having all of those games available in a very slim, very sleek form factor, it's also helpful for you for your gaming channel, so if you just want to be able to do more research and stuff on the go, as the name suggests, I suppose, it's definitely worth checking out. And that's the thing, I can't even take full credit for this. Not Another Game Collector picked up one of these recently. I was in a chat with him, and I was like, that looks pretty awesome, I should check that out, and I immediately saw a ton of advantages for it, specifically for this channel, so I'm really glad I made the purchase. Not Another Game Collector, thank you for turning me on to that, and also you guys should check out his channel because he'll be doing, I believe, more tutorial videos on like Sony handhelds like the PSP and the Vita, and if you want to stay tuned here, I'll probably do a quick tutorial on how to hack this thing. It's going to be like a 60-second video probably in a week or so, but make sure you come back for that. But if you have any questions about it, it's not a hard process. You can Google it, or if you just want to ask me in the comments below, I should be able to point you in the right direction and get that done. I will not point you to ROMs or anything like that because that is a big no no-no here on YouTube, and really on the web in general, I think. But what I will do is, basically show you the process by which you can actually get this thing into a state to receive ROMs should you go find them on your own. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you dug it. Make sure you stay tuned next week, and I'll see if I can put out a little bit more information on this unit. But if you have any questions about the PSP Go or anything like that, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And also, what are your thoughts on the PSP? Is that a system that you have fond memories of? Did you, grow up playing it? Or did you, have any good experience with any of the titles that were sort of specific to that system? Please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. If you like this video, you might also like my Retron 5 review from last week, or my new Nintendo 2DS XL Pikachu Edition review. Man, that's a mouthful. Also, thank you to all my patrons listed here on the right-hand side. If you'd like to become a patron yourself, please consider going to patreon.com/earplayer2, where you can get sweet physical and digital rewards. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.